Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the channel. We are here to talk all things Premier League. Premier League fan debate is back for the last time in this format. Don't worry, not many of these boys will be going anywhere for the majority of this season throughout the summer, throughout the transfers. But we will be saying goodbye to a couple of people for good reasons and for bad reasons, to be fair. So we thought we'd make this one special. And we are expecting a few more people to join us, but I'm sure they will be coming in as and when. A few people have texted me saying they're going to be late. So fair play. Lateness is greatness. Big up Ash, big up Emilio, big up Billy, big up Dave, big up Liam. We are expecting a few more lads on soon. So we will see how we get on. There's nowhere else to start other than Ash. Mate, it was a sorry weekend for Leicester. At one stage, it looked like it was going to be superb. And then in other news, it wasn't to be, mate. I think, to be fair, you kind of accepted that it was probably time. You kind of resigned to the fact that you're probably going to be playing Championship football. And I was on a show with Saeed a couple of days ago, and Lewis from City Extra, and Chappie jumped on, Lee Chappie, and he was saying, I just worry now. He just said, I worry we're going to have a bit of a worrying couple of seasons. A lot of people leaving, 8 players out of contract, a lot of other players wanting to leave. Last time that you were down there, you were there for a while, and it took you a while to get back up. And I kind of listened to that and thought it was a little bit doom and gloom, and I understood because it was literally the day after you went down. So I understand it's doom and gloom. But I kind of disagreed with him, really, because although I think you're going to lose players, and that's given, I don't actually think you would have kept those players if you would have stayed up anyway, if I'm honest with you. So I do think that Leicester have got a side that when you look at the players that will be staying, they're good enough for the Championship. In fact, too good for the Championship. We've spoken about the goalkeeper. Your back line, although some of it is leaving, is good enough for the Championship. Your defensive midfield is good enough for the Championship. Yes, you're going to lose Tielemans and Maddison, but Shrewsbury Hall is good enough for the Championship. I think your front three, if you do keep hold of Vardy and Iniacho, they could kill it in the Championship. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom, but I wanted to get your thoughts on how you're feeling, mate.
Yeah, obviously it's a massive disappointment with what we've sort of gone through as Leicester City fans for the last sort of 7 seasons. There's been utter glory winning the Premier League and the FA Cup, and even the Charity Shield is a great day out, when you're a team like Leicester. And then we've had bad things happen, disappointment in Europe. We've got there though, and losing the owner and stuff, and it's just been almost like a fairy tale that's come to a sad end, really. But yeah, I tend to agree with you, Dan. I don't think we can be all doom and gloom about it, because although we are going to lose those players, Tielemans has already gone. He's announced that today, so he's gone now. That's over with. I think that you're right. We have got a good enough side, even if the bigger players go, that should be holding their own in the Championship, if not being near the top pretty much straight away, with some additions, hopefully some younger players that want to come and really give it a good go. Even when we were winning games, Dan, I think I said to you that we weren't going nowhere this season. There just didn't seem the chemistry in the stadium between the fans, the players. It was all going wrong all season. And when you give yourself one game to do it and relying on other results, this is what can happen. We beat West Ham. Excellent. It was lovely to see us go out on a win. But unfortunately, it was not meant to be. But me as a Leicester fan, I am only sitting there thinking now, let's get behind them. Let's get behind the owner. Let's see what they can do through the summer and see if we can get straight back up there with a new set of players. It's not going to be easy, but that's the challenge.
It is the challenge, man. And Emilio, I'll come to you, as doesn't seem like long ago that Fulham were doing pretty much what Leicester had done and trying to find themselves getting back up, and they managed to do it. Do you think Leicester can follow suit and get themselves back up there? And if so, how do they do it?
I think, look, we were used to it going up and down like a yo-yo for so many years. I think continuity is a key thing there. So, some of our players who went down a couple of years ago stayed with the club. So we had arguably Premier League players in Mitrovic, Kenny Tete. We had some good players who fought and battled in the Championship. And that got us through last season, 12 months ago. So we got promoted because we had the spine of that that nucleus was there. The team didn't get broken up. And people went their own separate ways. Some of the lone players went. I get that under the Scott Parker days, but the core nucleus of our team, the permanent players were there, and we built our championship push around those core players who didn't mind dropping down a league to help the club get back up and running. I think for you, Ash, I think if you can keep that nucleus players. I know some of your players will go. They will obviously want to go to bigger and better things. I get that. For those who are going to be playing for Leicester City through thick and skin, good times and bad times, they're the players you want at your club. You don't want these players who are only chasing glory and money. You want rid of them. They didn't save you this season. Why do you want them there next year? For those who are going to, if you keep that spine of that team there, then I think you're going to have a great chance of going back up. You've got to have continuity. You've got to start building a brand new squad. It may take you 2 or 3 seasons to find your feet and build a succession plan over the next few seasons. But for us, the success for us is we kept each time we got relegated the last couple of times, we had that spine of that team there, the permanent players who want to play for the club at all levels. And we got promoted. And this year, look, testament to them, we managed to play well, stayed up, top half of the table. Very proud of the team. But again, we've got to keep building now. It's a different formula. But I think next year's championship is going to be bloody tough. Mm-hmm. You look at the teams going down. The teams that didn't get promoted, the Norwiches, West Broms, traditionally strong championship teams and sort of struggling in the Premier League. And then you've obviously got the Ipswiches and Sheffield Wednesday again promoted from the 30s. That's going to be a hell of a championship, probably more exciting than the Premier League next season, to be honest. So I'm going to be keeping my eyes peeled next year. But as long as you keep the core spine of your team, Ash, I don't see any reason why you can't be pushing for a promotion place next year. It's all about continuity for me.
Definitely. I mean,
do you think? Go on, Ash.
The only, pretty much touching on what Emilio said, the only thing that slightly disappointed me in it all is the fact that these players that wanted to leave and go, pushing for Champions League teams and things like that, some of the teams have been linked with in the last couple of days. It's almost like if they would have put the effort in and kept Leicester up, and this is no offence to the teams, it's a sideward step because they were playing at a team that was playing in the Europa League, missed out Champions League by 1 place. And then all of a sudden their heads were turned elsewhere. And now we've got Maddison being linked with Spurs, or if I'm correct, they've got no European football next season. And
I hope he don't go there, man.
And Tielemans now...
Such a terrible move.
He's 2-1 to go to Aston Villa. So, and he's announced he's going today. So, and this is not disrespecting Villa.
I could see that.
Yeah. It'll be great for Villa, because it'll be good for them, working under Emery. It'll be fantastic. But Leicester had that foundation. And really, to me, these players wanted to leave because they wanted bigger and better things. And they've ended up in the same boat at different clubs. And that's just my quabble with it. I think they should have dug the foot in and put the work in at the club they were at, So,
the manager worried. I worry for your manager, Ash. I
was going to ask you, Ash, is that
not an inspiring manager? Wrong choice. I know, Billy, you probably may disagree with me here, obviously, but I don't know. There's something about him. He's a nice man, a nice fella, but is he the man was gonna pull all the stops to keep you up in the division? I think it was a wrong move to bring in D. Smith. If you don't, either you persevere with him next season, I think you'll struggle with him at the helm. I think you're going to have to build around some of the youth players coming through, some of the more established players going to other clubs. You need someone who's tried and tested at this level, will keep that continuity of players and build for the next future, the next 3 to 5 years. But I'm not sure Dean Smith inspires confidence for me. If he came to Fulham, I wouldn't be overjoyed. Put it that way.
No, you're absolutely right. They've got crunch talks with him because his contract was only until the end of the season, so he's technically not the manager. So I think the talks are going to be what we're all expecting, which is they're departing the club. But like the early front runners, I just can't see them coming. You've got at the top there's Michael Carrick. Why would he leave Middlesbrough? There's Ruud van Nistelrooy, who, if I'm right, has just left PSV. Mm-hmm. And then the other names, you're just like, you've got no chance. Then it moves on to sort of like your Graham Potters and things like that. He's not going to drop down to the Championship. So, but we shall see. We can only support them, which I'll do, and with every last bit of me. And wherever the journey takes Leicester, it does. I've seen my team win the Premier League, the FA Cup, and Charity Shield. I've seen them play in the Champions League in my lifetime, and that's something I'll never forget. So I'll just get behind them, and whatever it is, it is.
No, fair play to you, man, and hats off to you. I think that it was a wrong decision, in my opinion, to get Dean Smith in, but I do think Brendan gave him everybody no choice but to get him gone. I thought he was done. He looked absolutely awful. Some of his decision making in the end was just bizarre. I didn't understand any of it. Well, Billy, I'll come to you on a couple of things there. I mean, Maddison and Tielemans, everyone's going Newcastle and Arsenal. Who's going to get them? And it ends up that Spurs and Villa are favourites to get them both. I mean, does that show like that perhaps they ain't been that great in the last few months and people have lost a bit of interest, potentially their mentality kind of went and their heads went. And on that, Billy, as well, Dean Smith, you're obviously a fan because of what he did with Villa, but is he the sort of manager Leicester need to keep get them back up for you, mate?
Yeah, I'll start on the Dean Smith point. I thought it was a wise choice to bring Dean Smith in, to be honest with you. But I would only say that that's a wise choice if he continues on in the Championship, because he's got a good record in the Championship. Norwich aside, he didn't pull up any trees at Norwich, but since sacking Dean Smith, they've not really pushed on at all since then. So I think I thought anyway it made sense for him to go there. If they go down, he's a decent manager to get them in the conversation to coming back up. I mean, what he created at Villa was just something really special. We had a Villa fan as the manager, a Villa fan as a captain, getting us up that season from mid-table when he came in was just unbelievable. The 10-game run to keep us up on the last day in our first season back, to then push on to 11th. What he did at Villa was just magnificent, and I absolutely love him for that reason. However, same at Villa, he needed to go when he did. The thing is, you look at the likes of Dean Smith and Brendan Rodgers on paper, which one of those is the best manager? And you've got to say that it's Brendan Rodgers, really, haven't you? And I know it was all a bit stale at Leicester, but would keeping him have kept them up eventually? And it's a question that we'll never know the answer to. But yeah, it would be strange, in my opinion, anyway, if you was to get rid of Dean Smith now, having been there for however long he's been there. He's starting to get to know the club a little bit. Let him make it his now and try and push you on into the playoffs, automatic promotion. It's not going to be hard, as we all know. It's not going to be easy, as we all know. That Championship just looks horrible to be involved in next season. However, getting on to the James Maddison, Youri Tielemans point, surprised me that Villa are now the front runners, apparently, for Tielemans, if you look at the bookies anyway. But I was just thinking, I mean, I know we've got to get strength in depth, but our starting midfield, I just don't think he gets into. The way Douglas Luiz has been playing this year alongside Boubacar Kamara, Jacob Ramsey, he's not going to drop him, and John McGinn is just an engine, and he just does not stop running. And his turnaround since Emery has just been absolutely phenomenal. And I don't know where he gets in, to be honest with you. I know you need competition for places in that, but Youri Tielemans is going to want to be a guaranteed starter wherever he goes, and understandably so. And I don't think he necessarily gets that at Villa. So that's my only thing about that. I think he'd be a fantastic player to come in, don't get me wrong. However, when the going gets tough, as we've seen at Leicester, is he just going to give up like he did at Leicester? That's the problem. And I think that it is exactly what's probably turned the heads of your Newcastles and your Arsenals to think, is this really someone that we want at the club? And yeah, I'm not too sure if that is what you want at your football club, to be honest with you. It's put me off a little bit.
I mean, honestly, what have they done for their individual CVs with how they've played for us this season? Nothing. Yeah. Excellent players, but bad attitudes, and that's where I would leave it.
I would actually agree. It's been disappointing in parts. Tielemans and Maddison remained really professional. It seemed like whenever I was looking, their heads had gone down a little bit. Lil Dan, is that a shout from Billy? Like Tielemans won't get into Villa? Is that like? Do you agree with that?
No, he's talking absolute trash.
Just like how you were, Lil Dan, when you said Lopetegui ain't gonna leave, and now you're putting out tweets saying you can leave, you can get rid. Because we were talking to you.
I'm saying he can leave, but he's not going to leave. I'm saying he can fuck off. I don't think he'll leave, D.
What happened?
Welcome, D.
We're talking
Welcome,
about Tielemans and like teams that have played in Europe the last couple of seasons, D. What are you starting for?
Okay. Right,
you want to go down that route?
Yeah, what's going on?
You want to go down this route? You've been here less than a minute. You want to go down your route already?
No, I'm not going down any route. I was just surprised when I saw that tweet. I'll be honest. I was very surprised because I was like, Lopetegui is 100% staying, and you seemed like you was very frustrated about that report.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that a bit later on. We're talking about Yuri Tielemans being not good enough for Villa, according to Billy, which I think is absolute.
I didn't say he's not good enough. I just don't see where he fits in the starting midfield.
If he's not good enough,
he does not get into our starting 11 at the minute.
I'm talking trash, mate. You're talking trash.
I disagree. I disagree.
Yeah,
Douglas Luiz has been phenomenal.
His attitude the last sort of 18 months hasn't been great.
It's not even necessarily that at the minute, to be honest with you. It's just our midfield four in Jacob Ramsey, John McGinn. He's not going to be a player that's on the wings.
I'm sorry, he's trying to displace the word trash. But if Emery's able to get that trash looking good, what can you do with Tielemans?
Hey, what's going on?
I don't disagree. Like I say, I think he's a fantastic footballer. But at the minute, I don't see where he fits in because of how well our midfield has been playing. I don't think he gets into the starting 11. That's just my opinion.
You'd take him, nobody, right? Because that's a good.
Absolutely, I'd take him. Yeah, on a free as well. You know, we're looking at players like Marco Asensio on a free. There's a lot of good players, top quality players that you can get in on a free, and all of a sudden you're only paying their wages, and they're half the price, a quarter of the price of what you'd be paying a transfer fee for them. I'd absolutely take him. I'm not saying that I wouldn't take him at Villa. Of course I would, but I just don't think he gets in that starting 11 at the minute.
Billy, did you just hear what he said to you? Are you just gonna let that slide? You called all your players absolutely trash, and you got European football, and they're just.
It is what it is. We'll see what happens next season.
To quote a Villa player, it's just conference, mate.
Oh, Villa, Billy, can I become an Aston Villa fan for 5 minutes? Can I go on loan?
Stick the Villa shirt on me.
So why are you talking, little Dan, when your team literally finished below Villa?
So I'll stop you right there. We finished below Villa. We've had one of our worst seasons since we got promoted, and we still took 4 points off the Villa this season, D. That's
we still finish above you. And what? And we got European football.
And as I said,
so what now?
It's been one of our worst seasons since promotion, and you've only finished a handful of points in front of us, D.
Nah, it doesn't matter. We got European football.
I love how D's saying we.
No,
I'm on loan for 5 minutes. I can't let a Wolves fan.
You're a stain on football. Your football club is a stain on the Premier League. And your attitude in regards to we, as a Villa fan, you're a stain.
Right.
We, all of a sudden, it's we.
You can have another European Cup now as well if you want.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
You can have one of them, man. Don't give him one of them, I tell you.
That's what he said.
Listen, Liam, let's come to you, man. I'm going to ask you a question, bro. Right. Southampton, Leeds, and Leicester all hit the drop. All of them changed their managers. If Brendan stays, if Rouse Hasenhüttl stays, and if Jesse March stays, do you think the same three go down?
No. If Leeds still go down, Jesse March it wasn't working. But I think if Rodgers and Aston will stay, I think he'll probably stay out, to be fair. But you just don't know. It's a question that's probably you just say and ask, but it'd be impossible to actually know the answer. It's like saying if Palace stayed with Vieira, would they go down? You don't know. If Wolves stayed with Bruno Lage, would they go down? You don't know, but I think all three of us who went down deserve to go down.
Yeah.
And I think that's all you can say at the end of the day, to be fair. I think a lot of teams were better than us. And a lot of teams made the right decisions with the managerial calls. Like Forest sticking with Cooper, Hodgson coming in at Palace, getting Emery. You see the levels to these teams where we're bringing bloody Nathan Jones. Like, come on. I won't mention that name again. I could drink to this all day. You know what I mean? Nathan bloody Jones. But I mean, it's a difficult one. But I can't lie. We went out of a bang on Sunday. We were one of the best games I've ever seen. So
That was
I
mad,
really
wasn't
don't care. I honestly can't wait for next year. Can't wait. Renewed my season ticket today. Down by 10%. Happy days. I can't wait for next year.
Mate, it was a mad game. And do you know what? I said this on the show the other day. Southampton's results this season have been mad. Like 3-3 at the Emirates, 4-4 against Liverpool, beating City in the League Cup, beating Chelsea. I think you were one of the first to beat Chelsea when they were
Beat
under
them
Tuchel.
twice. Yeah.
Beat them
Yeah,
twice. This has been mad, bro. It's been all right in terms of singular games. It's just been a poor season as a whole.
Mate, we took 17 points off the top six this year. I think only Brentford have got more. Who's not in the top six. I mean, it's ridiculous. I think we have Liverpool have only won like 3 more away games than us all season. It's like, how can you take 17 points on the top 4 but take 8 from the rest? Imagine if we could actually play against the other teams, mate. We could be bloody Brighton right now. We could be Villa. I mean, it's a joke.
I wouldn't want to be Brighton.
I guess that's why.
But Liam, just quickly on that, you blame sort of Hassel-Hüttl, Nathan Jones. Surely the squad have got to take a big blame for this relegation.
No, obviously, mate, obviously, but I'm not blaming Ralph because I think, like you said, there's a time when a manager has to go. Like what Billy said with Dean Smith, Ralph did a fantastic job for years with no funds and sending our best players. But there was a time he had to go. Bringing Nathan Jones was probably obviously an awful decision. Yeah, the players do have to take accountability. But if you actually look at our squad, we've got the youngest squad in the league. And when you've got a manager who comes in who basically just chats a load of crap about the players, you need a manager who's going to come in and put their arm around his shoulder. Like Roy Hodgson, look at Eze. I mean, he didn't even play under Vieira. No, he's got an England call up for a reason. I mean, we made the wrong decisions, and the players can take the blame, but the board have got to take blame as well. So it's like one of those ones. We'll see who actually wants to be there next year. What players are going to go and what players are going to leave. So I think you'll see by the summer. Russell Martin will probably know what players are going to be there and what players aren't there. So.
Is that confirmed now, Russell Martin?
Yeah, it's been confirmed. It just hasn't been announced for some real reason. I don't know whether they're waiting for it or anything, but pretty much every journalist confirmed it and stuff like that. So
it's a good signing. I think good manager. I think he'll do well in that league. Dave, who's got the best chance coming straight back up for you, man? Leeds, Leicester, or Southampton, bro?
Southampton. I really think Southampton have. Chuck Russell Martin in. You had to look at the way Southampton played against a team that was expected to challenge all the way in the title. I mean, that was a phenomenal game, that 4-4. And there were, you know, obviously they're going to lose certain people. They're going to lose Ward-Prowse. That looked like a goodbye to me. But there was enough to suggest about Southampton that when Russell Martin kind of gets in there, he'll have them. I think they will come together quicker than Leeds or Leicester. I think of the other two, I'd expect Leicester to do. I think Leeds are the ones that are going to really struggle to come back of the three. But you know, when you say it, we would have been sat here last year, and I would have said personally, well, you won't see Burnley again for another decade. Look what Burnley have done. So there's hope there for Ashley. There's hope there for Liam. There's hope there for Joe. But the point that's been made, and it's a really good one in my view, is that championship is getting three biggish clubs going down into it, and it's getting three relatively big clubs coming up into it. Wednesday, what Wednesday have just done to get up, that's a big club going in there. Plymouth to me have looked a really good side all year. Ipswich score goals for fun. You've already got like Sunderland in there, Middlesbrough. There are some going to be some big crowds in that division. And I think that championship, pound for pound, is going to be probably the most sort of evenly distributed league next year. But of the three, depending on how, I think Leeds and Leicester, Leicester are going to get ransacked a bit. Leeds to a certain extent. But then who would want to buy players from Leeds United when they make a team in such dire straits as Tottenham Hotspur look excellent? That is not a shop window at all. Now, Southampton, the problem for some of them lads who played on Saturday, I was like looking at that game, the highlights, I'm thinking, cool, this Suleimana looks a good lad. Dear Steve Cooper, take a look at Suleimana. Livramenta's just come back in. Now, if he'd not been injured all season, he was a lad who was talked of in England terms recently. So I just like the idea of Russell Martin going there and a young side. And I think they've got a really good academy there, as has been shown historically. So I would stick my neck out and say, of the three, Southampton, and maybe because they knew they were going down for a while and could sort of start planning for next season, I think Southampton are the ones more likely of the three to come back up. But it's going to be a hard task. You chuck in like Norwich, Watford, West Brom, QPR. That is a tough league next year. Anybody coming out of that league next year will have to have earned it.
Fair play, man. D, same question to you, man. Out of the three, who's in the better shape, do you think?
Yeah, it has to be Southampton. When you look at Leeds, there's we don't know what's happening with the ownership. We don't know who's going to be director of football, the manager. But that could change. So my answer could change in a few weeks' time, where Leeds, we know a bit more clear about their picture. Leicester's problem, it's a financial problem. I want to see where they go from here. That'll be interesting to see. But yeah, Southampton have already made a move. They seem like they want to go with the Burnley approach in terms of possession-based football. And trying to get promoted like that by hiring Russell Martin. And I think that makes sense rather than playing direct football. So for me, Southampton is the one edging it right now, but that could change depending on what Leeds and Leicester do. But yeah, it should be Southampton. Saying that, it could be a possibility I hate to say this, but how competitive the championship that none of them get promoted.
I was going to say.
As well.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of big teams there, and the championship is ruthless. The championship is ruthless.
I think a lot of people are saying probably the championship is going to be a lot more better than the Premier League this year. I think it's probably the best championship you're ever going to see. I know the championship's difficult anyway. You can never really tell who can get promoted and who can go down. But this year, I don't think anyone generally has a clue who could go up. Like, who thought Luton and Coventry being a playoff final? Yeah, I mean,
No.
it's just mental. And I think if you ask that question to me, I think we're probably in the best position to go. I'm not, because I'm obviously saying I'm a Saints fan, but financially we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Whereas Leicester and Leeds, I don't think they will, because Leicester have got one of the highest wage bills in the Premier League, let alone Championship. And Leeds, obviously, like Dee said, the owners and a lot of these players who specifically come because of Jesse March, and they're probably going to, why would I want to play in Championship? Whereas I think Saints already have Championship players anyway, and a lot of players who haven't played football who are going to want to play for us. So I think, and probably us getting the manager in already as well. I mean, I don't know who Leicester
That's
and
a
Leeds
big help.
get.
That for me is huge.
We've already got the project sorted. Whereas Leeds and Leicester, they're going to have to get their manager in first before the play as well. Now we've got the manager in, we can sort out who's going to want to be here, who's going to want to go, and what players we want to get. So, but then you won't know until August, and I don't think you'll even know who's going to go up till April next year. You get what I mean? The Championship is utter madness.
Fair play, man. I agree with that. I think getting the manager in is key. We don't know what's happening with Leeds or Leicester. And I think that's why everyone's thinking Southampton right now. But like Dee said, I think that could change. The other thing is, with the Russell Martin appointment, I think that's just what that side needs, for the fact that they're going to be a side that have no fear, if I'm honest, because they're so young. But also they have the lack of experience. So sometimes it don't help either. So they need someone who's experienced in that league to guide them through. And I think Russell Martin will do that. Now, I know Russell Martin's not like a Pep. We're not saying that. But actually, when we look at experienced heads and someone who's actually playing an attractive style of football, Liam, to be fair to Liam, I think about 6 weeks ago, you called this and said, I want this guy in. So you kind of got your wish. You got your wish. Was that Dave?
I think... Sorry.
Was that D?
Yeah, oh no,
D,
I
not
was
me.
like, it's more like Arteta. He hasn't won much, but he's playing that expansive football. And if you finish second in the championship, that'd be good. You get it, like that. You can get away with that.
I don't think it's more like a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, he's a young manager. He's not got much managerial experience of that." I don't care. The guy's played in the championship for a lot longer than most managers who are in the championship. You know what I mean? He played for Norwich for a long time, who were like a yo-yo club, not even back then, but mostly now. I mean, I don't think Arteta didn't have much experience, but he's gained over the years to get Arsenal to be a title challenging team. You know what I mean? So I don't think experience really matters, because Russell Martin's got probably the third. I think they said he's got the third best possession stats in the 92, and like they've created the most chances, like the fifth most chances. You get what I mean? And unfortunately, the club Swansea let him down with the not being able to bank him financially and losing two of their best players, and he's gotten 3 points off the playoffs, which for me is an incredible job considering every other team in the league above them had financial backing other than Luton. So, I mean, I think we're just seeing actually. I think I'm certain. I'm not certain of things, but I think it'll work out. I really think it's the next best thing.
It should do.
Fair,
On paper, it should do.
Fair. Let's talk quickly about, we've mentioned and touched on Luton coming up. I think it's a great story, I can't lie. Emilio, let's come to you. Are they going to be the whipping boys, or are they going to come and cause that absolute shock? Luton Town in the Premier League, I never thought I'd say it. What's your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, I think I was having a bit of a debate with Dio the other day, wasn't it? About, obviously clearly they're going to be everyone's favourite to go down, but they've got nothing to lose. I think that's the key thing. They do remind me a bit of our fairy tale story many years ago. We were 91st in the Football League back in the mid-90s.
Yeah,
slowly,
the Keegan days. Yeah.
We managed to push our way up to the Premier League. We stayed there 13 consecutive seasons. So, it's with a bit of financial backing in the summer, I don't think they've got anything to lose. That's the thing. Everyone's expecting to beat them, but I always fancy the smaller clubs. I think of being a small club myself. Fulham have never won many trophies in their lifetime, and I associate a club like Luton a bit like Fulham. Nothing to lose. Play with a bit of pride. I think the neutrals will be backing Luton, because the neutrals will want a unfancy club to do well. I think the Premier League next year is going to be a little bit underwhelming, I'll be honest with you, unless some of these bigger teams like Liverpool, Chelsea find some consistency and form. Maybe that division is up for grabs for the like of Dave, for yourself, for Fulham fans and other teams saying, actually, can we still survive? So I think it's easier to survive in the Premier League than it is to get up from that championship, and that's the thing. But we're going to have a struggle. I think a lot of teams are going to struggle next season in the Premier League, Dave. Forest, Fulham, it's going to be a tougher year, but I fancy Luton maybe to surprise a few people. Nothing to lose. The neutrals will be on there, will be supporting them. And I think, as fans, what's their capacity? 10,000 fans? I think that's their stadium at the moment. So
Kenilworth Road, if they can weaponise it, like we've weaponised the City Ground, that's a tricky place. And I'll tell you about Luton as well. I watched that playoff semi-final, and they're a big bunch. They put themselves about. They're a physically quite big side in a small ground. And I think, right, Luton off at your peril. They're going to find it difficult from a technical point of view, but they could be like a little new crazy gang. The way I look at them, Carlton Morris, Tom Lockyer, people like that, Pelly Ruddock and Panzu. These lads are going to really warm to it, and they'll surprise you, I think.
You know what they remind me of? They remind me of Palace when we got promoted. We signed a lot of players. We didn't have a great budget, and at the end of it, we stayed up because of Tony Pulis. I think the manager played a massive part to it. And for Luton, I do think right now as it stands, I do think it'll be a miracle, just like it was a miracle for Palace to stay up when they did, because we were like a yo-yo club, we just get promoted, get relegated. But if they do manage to survive the first season, then I think that'd be a fantastic story that continues. But I just, in honesty, if I'm being honest, right now, I just don't see it happening. I think at home, they should have that crowd. And I think, as you said, Dave, that plays a massive part. But then when you compare the Forest ground to Kenilworth, it's two different things as well. I mean, Forest are a big club. And they do have that backing, and they do have that history. With Luton, unfortunately, everything is against them. And that's why I want them to be successful. Like, they're a small club, just like Wolves. That's why I wanted Wolves to stay up. And if Luton stay up, I think it'll be a fantastic story as well.
Yeah, but that stadium
I
is
think
small,
a lot of
it's
people are focusing
compact,
on the
it's gonna be
stadium.
tough. You know?
Listen,
Yeah.
it's going to be good to see.
I'm sorry to
what
jump
happens.
in a quick second, but
Go on.
but Luton have won more than Palace.
Beat Arsenal in the League Cup final.
Fact.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Bob.
thanks
Won
for
a-
that,
they won a
Dave.
League Cup.
Gus Caesar. Gus
We're
Caesar's.
searching that up. As soon as I said that, it's so easy to make you play. It's so easy. It's incredible. I find it hilarious.
Dan,
I've just
Go on,
been
Joe.
sat. I've just been sat listening to this tripe for the past 10 minutes on my way home on about Leeds are not going to get promoted at the first time of asking. I cannot
Go on, Joe.
believe it.
Go on, Joe.
I cannot believe it.
Here comes the optimistic Joe
Victor
again.
Meldrum's here.
He's back.
Optimistic
He's
Joe.
back. He's back.
Yeah, he's back.
No,
He's back. Yeah,
do you know what it is? What I will say, just on this, Leicester are losing a lot of their players on a free. Southampton are probably, they're well prepared for it. They'll probably lose Romeo Lavia, I'd imagine, maybe Bella Kotchap. I'm not too sure. On the rest, Bazunu probably stays. But I think for Leeds United, I think what we have is quite a lot of players that will move on for decent prices. I think not as much as they'd have commanded had we stayed in the league, but I think Jack Harrison's got a release clause of around about 17 million. West Ham and Villa want him. Meslier, he'll move on. As rubbish as he's been this season, he's still touted as, having a great future. Just been called up to the France under-21s as well. You've got Nonto, you've got Somerville, you've got Tyler Adams, you've got Brendan Aronson. There's a lot of them that will go for money, which means, coupled with the parachute payments, I think Leeds United will have a very good go at it. Look, the only issue we have is the ownership. Like, Radrazani's just bought Sampdoria. We were all ready to celebrate, thinking he's leaving, and then he's put out a statement this evening saying we're going to try come back at the first time of asking. So my only worry is that we're going to be Watford and Udinese 2.0. That is my only worry, that he's going to try and have like a multi-club sort of situation, and that's my only worry. But just on so for example, Luton, they get promoted, right? They've got our right back, Cody Drama, who's deemed not good enough to get in our side, right? That's the wrong decision. He should have been playing. Joe Gelhardt was leading the line for Sunderland. Deemed not good enough to get in our side, and they got to the playoffs and the semi-final. So I look at that. I look at Darko Jabi, who's ripping it up for England. Archie Gray, who's ripping it up for England. We've also got Lewis Bay, who's done really well on loan at Oxford. The one thing I will say for Otter, our youth setup's really good. So, them with the player sales, we've been linked to Jack Clark. We've been linked to the striker at Sunderland as well, Ross Stewart.
Clark as well.
Yeah, I've seen that. And he might move to the Premier League, but obviously he was at Leeds.
Yeah, Leeds kids beat Forest kids in the under-21 playoff as well to go up, mate. 3-0.
Yeah, I've seen.
Leeds
Can I say one thing, Joe?
The Leeds kids are a decent bunch, mate.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Can I say one thing, Joe? You talk about all these players leaving, but I think the biggest problem that I have looking at from the outside, I do watch your stuff as well. I don't like you can have all the money in the world. Everton have all the money in the world, and they'll be fine relegation for how long? It's about the people who run the club. Do you think 100%. That they'll be able to make the right decision to bring in the right players and spend that money wisely? Because that's another thing. Because right now, 100%. As you said, there's that ownership problem. Like you can sell these players, and it can backfire even more if you don't bring in the right players. Because you know how the championship is. It's ruthless.
100%. Yeah, no, it is ruthless. I agree with you, mate. We've spent a lot of time down there, and I think if we don't come back this season, then I will start to worry. We need to be back straight up there. But what I will say, Victor Orta's no longer at the football club. That's a positive.
So who runs it?
Well, that's what I mean, bro. Andrea Radrazani's still custodian at this moment in time. Will he let the 49ers take a majority? And I think the way he could have sold Leeds United in the Premier League for 450 million. Now that we've dropped down, we're 150 million. So I think Andrea's saying, right, okay, what I am going to do is stay onto this and give it one last chance or one push with parachute payments and player sales to get back up so then I can then sell it again at its highest amount. Obviously, I want him out, mate. the fact that he didn't even show up on the final day, we've only heard from him today. He was out in Italy, in Genoa, trying to get this deal for Sampdoria over the line. There was a clause in the contract that said as well, any deal with the 49ers would be vetoed if Acer, which is his company, acquire another football club before the end of January 2024. Well, he's now acquired a football club. So does that mean any deal's done? And that's why we're not hearing from the 49ers, because he wants to run some sort of Udinese, Watford kind of vibe, which wouldn't surprise me either. So that's a worry, because I want him gone. Like, Rad's out now. I'm grateful for what he did, but Bielsa aside, everything else has been woeful. That's the reason we got promoted, Marcelo Bielsa.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're
that
right.
looks so stupid now, Joe, doesn't it?
Oh, crazy, so crazy.
I
tell you what, outside bet for the Copa America, Uruguay. Like, get your money on it, because he'll have them, Valverde, etc., Palistri. He'll get them playing some unreal stuff.
Nunez.
Yeah,
Joe,
Darwin Nunez.
Haven't Sampdoria been relegated from Serie A?
No, you're right. Mate. So that's why he's managed to get it at a cut down price, because had the deal not gone through. Yeah, had the deal not gone through yesterday, they'd have started the season with a 4-point deduction for not paying player salaries. So he's managed to stop that now. But obviously, it depends what he's going to do with Leeds United. And to be honest, the 49ers, we've not heard nothing of them. And they have had a 44% stake in this football club. So they are also 44% worth of blame, really. You know what I mean? Because they were still on the board. They still had to agree with decisions that were made. So maybe the grass isn't greener either. Maybe they're just as shit. Can
you say that, though? Who has a majority say? Because even at Palace, Palace is funny how it works. See, Parish, who only owns about 5% of the club, has the biggest say. So I don't know how it works at Leeds. But maybe they didn't want somebody to decision. Maybe they saw a different vision. But if they don't have the majority of say, then you can't really blame the four. I hear what you're trying to say. They own 44% of the club, and that's why they own that much responsibility. But I don't think it's as straightforward as that. If it works,
I hope not, D.
Model.
I hope not, D. I hope you're right, mate. I do believe that they injected cash. I think that's why Jack Harrison never went to Leicester. He was basically at Leicester's training ground, and the 49ers said, we don't want to sell him. We were trying to get Zaniolo in from Roma, who's just a crock, basically, and we're willing to move Jack Harrison on, which would have been mental when you consider what Jack Harrison's done. And the 49ers also put money in to get deals over the line. I think there was a lot of disagreement over the Rutter signing. Well, obviously, they were right, because, that was woeful. But Big Sam, just moving on, sorry, I know I'm waffling here, but he said for weeks that we didn't have no one to replace Rodrigo or Bamford, right? And Rutter hasn't been played by any manager, which is fair enough. But then on the final day, on the 50, 60th minute, to put it on it, to throw him on, just seemed mad. You've been telling everyone in the press that he's not ready, and then you throw him in. It seemed mad. Look, Big Sam got it massively wrong. He played 6 defenders. We concede within 90 seconds, and then he continues to play it with 6 defenders. I said at half time, Pascal Strauch's having a stinker. Bring him off, put Vobra at left back, and bring Nonto on. He didn't do that, and within 90 seconds, Strauch gave the ball away for their second. So, he's also culpable. He's out doing that No Tippy Tappy podcast. I think he already knows that he's not staying on, contrary to reports. And I don't think Leeds fans want him. We had to roll the dice. It didn't work. Had he have come in when we got Grazia? It may have. But listen, they got every decision wrong after Bielsa. Jesse Marsh, he's massively culpable. The fact that they gave him all the players that suit his style of play, when you could look at Southampton and say it don't really work. Don't really work, that style of play in the Premier League over the course of the season. Yes, you might win a few, but then you'll also go on barren runs. Just an absolute shit show, and I'm just down. I'm disappointed, and I hate Radrazani, because he's the reason that we're in this mess. So, they finished ninth, Dan. They finished ninth. Yeah. And that season, they bought Junior Firpo, Christopher Klassen, I can't remember. Dan James, that was it. You finished ninth. Instead of being tight, put some money in. They spent 170 odd million this summer for Jesse. If you'd have gave Bielsa a fraction of that, instead of, Bielsa used to take flack for turning down players. Do you know what players he got offered? right? Harry Winks, where's he now? Ross Barkley, where's he now?
Warrior, isn't he?
Yeah, well, there you go. Ross Barkley, he got offered Donny van de Beek. Where's he now? And Bielsa always said, I will take players, but only if they're better than what we've got. Well, look at the state of them now. Where are they? So the fact they did that and then they went to Jesse, who do you want? And they brought in Tyler Adams. They brought in Brendan Aronson. They brought in Weston McKennie, which is probably the worst loan signing in the Premier League's history, if I'm honest. Terrible footballer.
Do you not think, though, Joe? Like I was talking to Saeed about this, and we were saying the teams that have stayed up, right, and against the teams that have gone down, and this goes for you as well, Ash and Liam, right? Because the three of you are down now. All three styles of football try to play attacking for the majority of it, right? Now, I know that with Jesse, you can say, what was it? But it certainly wasn't defensive because you were getting hammered. Yeah. So, Leicester, Brendan Rodgers, attacking style of football, at least trying to be. I think with most of the Southampton bosses, there was always a little bit more of a balance, but you were always leaking goals, trying to play attacking. The teams that have managed to take themselves away from it, Palace, Wolves, West Ham, Everton, none of them are attacking styles of play, right? With Forest, I think they had more of a balance, if I'm honest, of both, because I think they were scoring goals, weren't getting absolutely trounced too much. Yeah, they let in a fair few goals against the good sides. But my point is, that style of football, as much as it's crap to watch, and little Dan will tell you, like, you know, watching Wolves at times ain't been pretty, and Everton ain't been pretty, but they're in the Premier League. It's kept them in there. So I think if you would have brought Allardyce in instead of Javi Gracia and let him have the games against Bournemouth and Palace and Fulham and whoever you had, Forest, etc., I think you might be in a different position right now, Joe. That's my point.
No, I agree. Like, there's no way under Sam Allardyce we go to Bournemouth and get spanked 4-1. Just not. You know, even if we pick up a point, I just don't see it happening. I don't think the game, it was always on a hiding to nothing. And I think it was worth throwing the dice because, like you said, the stuff with Gracia had gone wrong. But I don't necessarily agree, Dan. The reason I say that is because you have to look at the season where we finished 9th. You know, I'd rather.
No, but you had Bielsa, was my point. You're trying to do that with Jesse Marsh, mate.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I understand where Joe's coming from, though, because
look at Brighton. Look at Brentford. Brighton struggled and then poof. You know what I mean? Go on, Liam. Sorry.
With Sean Dyche, you know what I mean? The way he played on the Burnley is absolutely nothing. The way he played with Everton, defensively, they were shocking. And they still somehow survived. I don't know how they did it, but they did.
I don't know how Everton survived again.
I just think every other team around them was crap. But
I want to go next year.
That was the way that Sean Dyche plays.
Forest stayed up because Steve Cooper said it out loud, and he made a conscious decision to play in a style that he didn't want to play. He tried it at the start of the season. He got 6-0 at Manchester City. He got those 2 incredibly damaging 3-2 defeats at home where Forest was so open. Fulham and Bournemouth picked him off. He tried it at Leicester. It was a disaster. And then Steve Cooper said, and it was backed up. We had, I think, 22% against Manchester City, got a draw. Hardly any possession against Liverpool, beat them. 18% possession, a Premier League record for low ball possession, 18%, and beat a title contender to stay up. And I think, you know, Leeds came to our place and were by far the better team, but we won. Leicester came to our place and were by far the better team, and we won. Southampton in that 4-3 had 68% of the ball and got beat. And like Dan's point is a good one because it's almost like, you know, you have to kind of almost be not what you want to be in this league. Forest learned hard lessons. We were rock bottom after losing at Leicester, and we thought we were going to get relegated. And then Steve Cooper thought, I can't just keep doing what I want to do. I've got to do something it's needs must rather than aesthetics. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
man.
You got to sacrifice and work around the players you want.
Yeah, man. Little Dan, am I going wrong there? Obviously, Wolves, Lopetegui come in. They played that style of football which kept them safe, and I think Wolves are a good example of that, man, personally. You're on mute, mate. You're on mute, mate. Can you hear me?
That's the most sense he's been speaking.
Do you know what? The Wolves always play
That's
like
it,
that,
mate. Go on, Dan.
Lopetegui just found a formula that just got us over the line. Obviously, we were bottom of the league, dead and buried after Bruno Lage got sacked. I still think Lopetegui is still trying to find a formula which benefits us away from home. We've only won 2 games away from home since Lopetegui came in. In both those games that we won, we didn't deserve to win. We beat Southampton 2-1, Liam. Wolves didn't deserve to win that game that day. We were down to 10 men. James
we were terrible as well.
Through the game because he wanted Nathan Jones sacked, refused to have a shot on a set piece from 20 yards out.
Yeah, he did. Twice.
That was my comment earlier, Liam. Some of your players this season are a disgrace. They may not have liked Nathan Jones, but they literally threw him under the bus like he threw them under the bus. So the outcome was inevitable, wasn't it? I'm trying to think. We beat Everton away, Lopetegui's first game in charge. They battered us the majority of that game. The Everton fan base cost them the points on that day because they started turning against them because they weren't getting the ball forward quick enough. Dee's already mentioned that Lopetegui's sort of job at the moment isn't exactly secure. He seems to be twerking for a lot of jobs, in my opinion, at the moment.
Do you want to keep him, Dan? Do you want to keep Lopetegui?
My current situation is no. I feel like he's twerking for jobs. He's already got a past history of not being loyal to clubs. He was in charge of Spain, agreed to take over Real Madrid before a World Cup campaign. He's got no loyalty. He doubled his salary in the initial negotiations with Wolves, obviously, because everyone's aware that he turned us down a few times before taking over. I just want it
would you like to see
rather than later.
Who would you like to see come in at Wolves, do you think, if he does go?
I don't want to go down the Potter route, but I think that's the guy who everyone seems to be in the bottom half. Everyone would sort of take Graham Potter tomorrow, but for me, he's an ex-Albion player, so I've got really no interest in an ex-Albion player managing my club. I'd rather go down with our academy manager than Graham Potter, but.
Liam said, what about Rodgers?
Being sentimental. If we could lure Nuno back, I'd take him back tomorrow because I just love him. I'd rather get relegated with Nuno than an ex-Albion player managers.
I like this, little Dan. What's going to you? Finally, it's a bit of sense. As we're ending the season, it took you about 38 games for you to realise.
Who takes the Leeds job, Joe? Joe, who takes the Leeds job, do you think? If Sam goes?
Eddie Gray.
They want Graham Potter. I don't understand that, Joe. I'll be honest. Leeds are a big club. But
mate, we're not getting Graham Potter. I've said that. I've said that. They're crazy, man.
Reports.
It's mad. It's mad. Brendan Rodgers keeps getting linked, and I'm like, Brendan Rodgers is not coming to the Championship. He's done them days, and I keep saying, even if he doesn't have a job to start the season with, Brendan Rodgers will be the first manager that the majority of clubs go to once there's a sacking. So he's not going to take a drop down to the Championship, regardless of how good the project is. We look. I would have liked Russell Martin. There's a lot of Leeds fans that were on that as well. And Southampton, because they've got their ducks in a row, aren't messing about. Leeds United are all over the shop. Run like a League One club.
Patrick Vieira, Joe?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Steven Gerrard's short in the odds, but I think that's just the bookies clutching at straws. I don't think we go that way. I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully,
was it that Iraola?
Yeah, but I think, look, I'd like Iriola, good manager, did great with Rayo Vallecano, definitely blooded some noses in La Liga, but the only issue for me, he was heavy Victor Orta. So I think the 49ers or whoever's taking over might want to stay away from that. Corberan's been mentioned. Carlos Corberan obviously worked under Bielsa before he got his move to Huddersfield, worked wonders there, did well at West Brom, fell off after he was linked to us, but then got them close to the playoffs. I personally wouldn't mind Carlos Corberan because of the links to Bielsa. He knows what Leeds fans want, and he knows a lot of the players as well. So I think that's a match made. And I know this, Carlos.
Would Rafa go down to the Championship again like he did with Newcastle, do you think?
No, I think if we'd have got him in and we'd have got relegated, he might have stayed to bring us back up. But I don't think he comes in the Championship.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard.
It's already been mentioned, Joe. I mean, if you got the right backing, Van Nistelrooy wouldn't be a bad shout, Oh,
I've said it. I said it as well, Dan. I said on Twitter, I said it through, keep it quiet, because obviously we hate Man United, but I'd take Carrick or Van Nistelrooy any like stretch. Obviously, he just recently left PSV. To be honest, I don't care. Like Elanga was mentioned today. I said, I think he'll go lower end Premier League. Ashley Young's on a free. I don't care anymore about this. I do, but I just want my football club back in the Premier League, man, because
Of course.
yeah, exactly.
No, that's fair, man.
Shit.
That's fair.
Dan, I just need to check if, like, in that WhatsApp group, at what point do I get booted, mate? Do you know what I mean? Am I overstaying my welcome?
Yeah. In the room. I was thinking like I was going to discuss it today or what's going to happen. No, but
welcome Joe back in 12 months' time.
Randomly at 12 a.m. he's just going to kick you out. Like, it's going to be
There's only one rule, man. Nobody leaves. That's the only rule in that group. Nobody leaves, man.
No one should leave.
Unless you have to get removed, like I nearly have with Dean Lawless a couple of times. But listen, to come to a close, guys, I wanted to ask you all a couple of questions. Who's been the surprise package for you this season, man? We'll go around in terms of team, not players. Ash, who would you say has been the surprise package this Premier League season?
For me, Fulham. Yeah, I think they've been excellent this season. Everybody expected them to go down, and they've come up and they've played some excellent football. And hats off to them. Fulham for me. Newcastle close, but obviously they've got a bit more backing. So in terms of surprise, Fulham for me.
Yeah, listen, I'm absolutely with you. They were the surprise package. I've said that for a while. I actually tipped Forest to be the surprise package, and to be fair, they didn't let me down too badly. But Fulham, I thought I never saw that. I never ever saw that. Like, I'm not gonna lie. So fair play, man. Fulham get 2 votes. Emilio, that's gonna make it a hat trick, I imagine.
I said, remember the first show we did at the beginning, 17th was my priority. So we've over. I think, look, I look at all the results, and to be honest with you, I'm being neutral here and very pragmatic. We should have more points on the board. The amount of decisions haven't gone our way. We've lost by the odd goal here and there. I think we on paper we should have more points than we've actually got. So clearly, we have punched above our weight for the best part of the season. But I look at the other teams around us. Brentford, I'm surprised. I thought Brentford were going to struggle this year. Look, they're almost knocking on the door of European place. I think Villa were surprised. I thought Villa were in deep stum at the point Gerrard was there. Look what your manager's done since then. So there's been a few twists and turns this season. I think even Bournemouth. I thought Bournemouth was odds on to go down, and again they've surprised a lot of people. So yeah, Fulham, clearly we were the best team in the Championship last season. So you could argue we would have expected to finish above Forest and Bournemouth. But let's not overlook those two teams in particular, where they were and where they are now. All credit to these teams because they've turned it around. Forest and Villa bottom 3. Wolves were bottom. Look, every team is surprised, but unfortunately, teams like Leicester.
Everyone's a surprise to me.
Overachivers. That's the problem.
Everyone but Brighton.
Brighton.
Yeah, everyone's surprised in a good or bad way.
Yeah. Brighton have been pushing up every year, going up and up and up, and they're strengthening, and great fair play to them. But it's the teams that have struggled at the beginning of the season and found a way to turn things around. Forest.
Emilio's giving Brighton praise now because he likes him. He's not falling out of him again now.
My wife, she's listening. She's a Brighton fan, so yeah.
He's crying inside.
Yeah, D's like hating inside.
No, I'm fine. I got bigger issues than to worry about Brighton. Congrats to them. They earned it, innit? They earned it, and we're gonna get their manager. Hopefully, have the same thing. The ex-manager, anyways. We're getting their leftovers.
Looks like that way. Potter to Palace, they're saying. So imagine that. Imagine. Dave, who are you going for, man? Surprise package.
Honourable mentions to Aston Villa, Brentford, Bournemouth, Newcastle United, and Brighton and Hove Albion. But given that I think most of the podcasts that I either watched or was involved with at the start of the season had Fulham to be the ones who pretty much everybody said. The BBC website, their guy McNulty has had to apologise for having Fulham at the bottom. I've got to go with Fulham because they, from the get-go against Liverpool, they looked a completely different beast to the one we'd imagined they would be, and they finally found a way of getting their talisman to be influential in this division. I've got to give it to Fulham. And actually, so I'll give it to Fulham on a positive note. If you're talking about a surprise from a negative point of view, Leicester City.
Oh, you took mine.
I'm sorry, Ash, but they were,
Took mine as
what
well.
they've achieved.
Yeah.
So
true.
I've got to say, Fulham from a good point of view, Leicester from a not so good point of view.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I think that's fair. Ash would probably agree with that as well. to be
Absolutely.
honest.
Yeah. Spot on. Nail on the head comes to mind there, Dave. Yep.
Not like me. I should normally go around the reeking, mate, before I say anything. Bloody, people go
Love that.
rambling on walks and stuff. I do it in my own living room. You know what I mean?
Love that, Dave. Love that, Dave. Liam, what are you saying?
For me, I would say Fulham, but I kind of had a feeling from the start of the season that I think they'd be fine. I think Marco Silva's a fantastic manager, and I think the fact they're able to attract players like Paulinho and Willian and Mitrovic. Look, obviously he hasn't had a great season in the Premier League's past, but he can put a ball in the back of net when he's got good players around him. But for me, even though I don't really like their fans, but I've got to say Bournemouth. I think, especially Gary O'Neill, who's never had a managerial job in his life, and to get that team to stay out, fair play to him. But I think he's got even more of a tougher task next season. So I think he could possibly, if we're talking about managerial sackings, I think he could possibly be the first one. But then depends how Bournemouth new owners spend in the summer. But I think it'll be interesting. So I think he's done a great job considering it's his first managerial job and taking
It's
over on
mad,
the
isn't
club
it?
for 20
Because
years.
like already people will be saying the same as you. I think he might not last. I think they'll go down. Like it's just proved he can stay up with them and play half decent football at times, but everyone's still doing it. And I'll be this. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say either, Liam. To be fair, I think a lot of people would agree with you. Lil Dan, what are you saying, bro?
Touching on what Liam said there, I think you've got to give Bournemouth their props this season, especially Gary O'Neill. They got beat 9-0 away to Liverpool. And I thought that was sort of the beginning of the end for them. If someone would have said to me they finished on below like 25 points at the start of the season, I don't think anyone would have raised an eyebrow at it. And for them to finish as away from the relegation zone as quickly as they did, you've got to give Bournemouth credits. Brighton finished on the same points as Wolves last season. I know Brighton a bit like, so you can't really say Brighton, but I'm just surprised at how good they seem to get every week now, Brighton. They was unlucky not to get sort of top four. I think if they had a bit more squad depth, I think they would have really been pushing for that fourth place, because Man United and Liverpool were making hard work at that place when they sort of sealed it in the end. But if I had to put a team down for proper surprise package, it's Chelsea. For how bad they've surprised everyone at being this season. I didn't realise Chelsea could be so bad.
Awful.
Yeah, that's a great shout, by the way, for surprise
That's
package
me,
in
guys.
that
Thank
way.
you.
They have to win it. They have to win it, man. Chelsea, oh my God. Unbelievable. Fair play, man. Billy.
Yeah, it was going to be Leicester, but little Dan's, I suppose that just kind of shows how irrelevant Chelsea have been this season. I completely forgot about them. I suppose it's got to be Chelsea, to be honest, when you think about it. Whether you had them fighting for top 4, top 6 or whatever is by the by, but you certainly didn't have them down in 12th. And I suppose you could argue the same thing for Leicester as well. I didn't necessarily have them fighting for Europe, maybe top 10, 10, 11, around there. But to get relegated it's just appalling, isn't it? And with the players they've got on paper, it's just horrendous. But yeah, I do think Chelsea take the cherry for me.
Fair play, man. Joe?
Newcastle, mate. I know, obviously, with all the financial backing and that, I just think no one would have expected him to get top 4.
Point,
obviously, man. That's seen Chelsea, that's seen Liverpool fall off, etc. So I get obviously the cash and that, but I even think there. I mean, of course, the wage bill's gone up, but they've spent it really wisely. Bringing in players like Dan Burn, etc. I remember when City got all their money and they just went wild. Do you remember they bought Adebayor, they bought all these mad players, Robinho and that. Whereas they've actually looked and said, "There's a lad in Dan Burn who's a Geordie who gets it. Let's bring him in." And it's that spirit, I think, that's got them over the line. So I know it's shrouded with all the money in that, but for them to break in top 4 after last season, it's a massive turnaround, really. So I'd give it Newcastle.
Yeah,
fair enough. D.
Yeah, everyone's mentioned all the teams. I'm gonna go for Arsenal, I think it's a massive surprise that they're competing for
Yeah.
the title. Yeah.
What's all this
Portugal-
about, D?
What's happening? What's happening? What have I seen here?
No. You have to give them praise when it's due. I think it was another season of progression, and no one expected them to be up there for so long, but no one expected them to absolutely bottle it as they did as well. I think that was incredible as well. So I think that was a massive surprise. 11 games, 11 points ahead in April, and to bottle the league like that. I mean, 3 times in a row. I think also officially like the biggest bottlers in this country. I think that was like a massive surprise, because even for Arsenal's sake, I didn't think they would do it again, but they've done it again 3 times in a row now.
It's a shame for us to bottle it at Palace home and away as well, really. Oh no, sorry, we battered you twice. Okay, cool, no problem. Listen, it's been a crazy season, man. I can't even lie. It's been amazing. There's been some great scenes. There's been some mad scenes. But for me, I think if I was to pick our manager of the season, it's good. Pep's got it. Like Pep has 100%. Understand that always happens. Eddie Howe, he's got. I mean that I'm with Joe really. That I never had that, man. Like I never had that. They've come in Bruno Gomes and Botman and Isaac. I get it. They spent money, but like Joe's just said, it wasn't like Man City when they were going and getting like proven Premier League players and the outsiders. So Adebayor was coming in with Kolo Touré, with Gareth Barry, with Bellamy, Lescott, but then they go and get Robinho as well on top of that. Newcastle haven't gone mad. Now they might go mad in the summer, don't get me wrong, but to get fourth without going mad, fair play, man. Fair play. Listen, it's been beautiful. It's been great. I've absolutely loved this show. Having you all on, man, has been fantastic. Every single one of you. But we have to say goodbye to the middle three as we look at it. It's mad. I haven't even meant to put you in that way. Thanks, Billy, for coming off and coming back on. You know what I mean? A lot of sympathy from little
Stop
Dan.
it, Billy. We know what you've got there, Billy. Should it be a maroon one, Billy, not a blue one?
I had to update it. I had to update it, didn't I?
For the European tour, you have to update it for the European tour, yeah, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure I'm all up to date.
Listen,
you could see what it meant to Jacob Ramsey after the game. Andy was the best player.
How do you feel about that, by the way? Maybe I missed it. Maybe you spoke about it. How do you feel about that?
I just think it was a bit of a joke. It was when the players were coming in as well. I think a few people think that it was after the game celebrating the fact that we got it. That was welcoming the players in. But I just thought it was quite funny, to be honest with you. It's really not that deep.
It's only Conference League, and then Konza like, oh, hang on, whoa, JJ, respect.
Yeah, I know. To be honest with you, it's probably a little bit of like, well, what if it was like the Europa League or like the Champions League? Like, imagine the reaction then. I've never seen that before at Villa. You know, I've never seen the fans welcoming the players like that. And
yo, Billy, you'll win it, man. Unai Emery in charge.
I'm not going to do a Lawless and get too far ahead of myself.
No,
but if there's a manager to
he has heritage, man. European heritage, man. You'll win it. You'll win it.
He does.
I hope so.
You be a smart man and you be humble. Don't be like him. So you win anyways. You actually win it. That's the thing. You actually win it. Them lot, they're in the finals, but I don't know if they will. But yeah, I reckon, so. Yeah. But I wonder if it's going to impact your. We'll do shows about it. I'm pretty sure. I wonder if it impact your league form. Like I don't know. And that'd be
this is the thing. It's all about strength in depth now, isn't it? And you know, if we bring someone like Tielemans in, we'll have that in abundance.
He might not get into 11 though, mate. But you know,
we need someone for the Conference League, don't we? I mean, I've just had my heart broken today with Ashley Young leaving, so I need something to cheer me up.
Oh man, he's like 41 though, Billy. Come on, he's got to go at some stage.
Yeah, but he's played 32 games this season, and he's not put a foot
underrated,
wrong.
Man.
At 37, he's just been fantastic.
He's like a Milner, isn't he? He's going, man.
Yeah.
I mean, team are monitoring Billy. You know what I mean?
I think there's a lot of teams that he'd do really well for. Not just the player himself, but you know, what he brings as well off the pitch, the experience that he's got, the experience to pass on to youngsters as well. He's just a really good egg as well within the dressing room. So I'm gutted with it personally, because he's come out and said himself that he wanted to stay, but I suppose football isn't a sport for sympathy and empathy. And I suppose that's what Unai Emery, if Unai Emery wants to move him on, get someone a bit younger than him. Exactly. Look, it is what it is. Gutted on a personal level, but
yeah, see what you bring in, though, Bill. You might be all right.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
Excited for what the future holds for Villa.
Yeah, for sure, man. Listen, we're gonna come to a close. Ash, been an absolute pleasure, my friend.
Thanks for having me all season. I've enjoyed it, man.
I'm glad you have, man. You've been a ledge. You've been reliable. You've been here most weeks. You've been great. You're a great supporter of your club. Knew you anyway before we jumped on here. So glad that I invited you on, man. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, Ash. I know you'll be missed for this season coming up, man, and I hope to see you the one after, bro.
Me too. Come on, Leicester.
Fair play, Ash. Liam, likewise, man. I know we said this a couple of weeks ago when you went down. It was commiserations, and I really hope that you can come back fighting, bro. You've already said you're going to enjoy the championship. I hope you do. And I hope to see you back on this show. You've been a legend, man. You stepped in for Dan when Dan wasn't about, and you've stayed, man. And I haven't got rid of you yet, so fair play to you, man. Finally, I have to say, I'll see you later, but I hope to see you again soon. It's been a pleasure, bro.
No, thank you very much, Dan. Honestly, I've probably been one of the best things joining this show. Well, I want to say a massive thank you to yourself personally for not even just football, but checking up on me all the time. I'm only a youngster at the end of the day, and obviously I want to say massive thank you to everyone here. Obviously, I know I haven't met you all, but hopefully we'll go out for a drink soon and hopefully be back in a year's time. So I appreciate you all, and obviously yourself, Dan. Thank you so much.
Bless you, mate.
You're welcome, Liam. Thank you so much, and I appreciate that, bro. Anytime, we'll definitely keep in touch, and I'm going to be rooting for Saints, Leicester, and Leeds now, so we can get back and
you root for everyone. That doesn't
I always,
you know, for Luton, Palace, Wolves. you root for everyone to me. Everyone.
Well, let's hope these three. Let's hope these three go back straight back up, man. That's all I hope about.
That means
Joe.
wait, hold up. That means your new guests are going to be all right. I'll let Luton and Burnley let them
Can't win, man. Can't win.
I won't forget about this.
Going to see who's going to be Luton intolerant, don't we? You know what I mean?
Listen, Joe, it's been a pleasure, my friend.
Legend.
Feel like I've kind of known you years, even though I haven't, if that makes sense.
Man.
Speaking to you all the time, seeing you on here, it's been an absolute pleasure, man, to get to know you.
Dave, man. Dave. Oh, bloody hell, Dave.
You're doomed, mate. You're doomed.
Nice, Dave.
Do you know what I will say, though? You won't get a speech from me like Liam. I'll just say, like, fuck off to you all, man. the Premier League's rubbish anyway, man. It's just full of prima donnas and that.
It's fine. Yeah. It's fine. Remember, before you go, Joe, remember what you said about 6 weeks ago. Forget this. When you said, "Oh, it's fine, Palace are just another mid-table. They will do nothing."
It is what it is.
We might not be doing nothing in the Premier League, but I'll see you later in the Championship, eh?
It's all right. It's all right, man. Do you know what? It's all good, man. We'll be back. We'll be back. 16 years, man. Yeah, it is what it is. I'll be what? I don't know. I'll be in my 60s by the times I'm back. It maybe
I'll be
like
dead.
That. We'll see. Yeah, Dave won't even be here anymore, will he?
Dead Dave. Hey, Joe, where's Dave? Oh, he's dead. Joe comes back. Where's Dave? Oh, he died last week. He died when he heard Leeds had got promoted.
Thank you, though, no, Dan, honestly. Thank you, and thanks, lads. It's been great.
Legend. Just Joe Football Show. I'm still there, mate. Whatever.
Yeah, man. Nice.
Man. Yeah, listen, you're one of the best content creators for sure.
Brilliant.
So, everyone will be looking at what you're up to, man. And I hope and pray it's not
we lost the hardest build. Instead of we lost the match. Oh, not Swansea.
Mate, do you know what it is, though, D? We're the big dogs in that league, though, now. So I don't mind it. You know what I mean? I can flex my muscles a bit, you know?
Rotherham versus Leeds. First game at season.
Friday night.
Cruel.
Crazy
Absolutely cruel, man. Absolutely
He
cruel.
brought up. He said fuck off to all of us. We have to show we have to show him the reality of things.
I'll see you in FA Cup. I'll see you in FA Cup.
There we
Yeah.
go, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And of course, across the summer, you'll be involved in some of the shows. We've
Nice
got some
one, bro.
bits and pieces coming, some debates and some transfer news stories, and everything will be kept in touch. So we're not going to throw you off just yet, man. And always welcome on the channel, of course. So thank you so much. Emilio, Dave, Billy, Little Dan, D, I will see you all on this show next season. Billy, congrats for the promotion,
where's Billy
my
going?
friend.
Sorry, you can't end it. Sorry, you can't end it. Wait, Billy can't be here. The pot. Billy cannot be. No, I love Billy to bits, but if Billy's here,
on the channel. Billy's
okay,
on the
okay.
channel,
I was gonna
but
say,
obviously,
after back Billy.
I just
Alright.
said you jumped in, you interrupted me, man.
No.
I said,
I'll
Billy,
stay.
congratulations on the promotion. Yourself and Maz will be on the Race for Europe show. The invitation is there. Should you be willing to accept it? We've only had Pete that's been promoted so far, so well played. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Is Lawless going to get relegated?
If they
Depends,
don't win
I
that,
suppose.
if they don't win that,
Can I go
silly
with you, Billy?
competition.
Billy, can I go with you, mate?
You're always welcome, Dave. You can follow me wherever.
Not even I will get a bloody word in edgeways.
Does this sound bad? It's the first time I've wanted English.
He's nearly broken up Damn United's marriage for him as well.
Yeah, I mean, please. For our sake, you better win the conference.
Can you imagine Dean Lawless on the show? Wow, my God. There's going to be no one else left on it. They're just going to be like, is Dean Lawless on this week? I can't make it. Sorry.
Thank God I'm leaving.
Honestly, people. Sorry, Ash. I talked over you, Ash. Go on, man.
It's all right. It's the first time, and this sounds really bad. I don't know how many agree with me that I actually want the English team to lose in Europe. in West Ham.
Ash is like the nicest person on earth. Even Ash, he made it.
And the thing is, they've gifted us 6 points this season, so I shouldn't even be bitter. But
same
you know
as well,
what?
same.
It just drives me mad.
It's going to be insufferable. It's going to be insufferable. I actually feel sorry for Tobes if Lawless wins this competition.
But then again, you could be Tottenham, right? You could be Tottenham. There's that. You have to you could be Tottenham. I mean, they're both as bad as each other, really.
This is true, man. This is true. I must say, big up to Sava. Make sure you go over to Football Heritage TV and follow what he's doing over there. It says this super chat would have been 20, but D's on, so I decided that £10.
See, that's Tottenham for you. That's Tottenham for you.
Dave is the best thing that ever happened to YouTube. Big up, Dave. Look at that.
Bless you. Very kind. Made a very old man very happy.
Love Sava. Sava will be on the show next season as well.
Love Sava, yeah.
A lot, and to be fair, he's on the show anyway. But
do
F1.
Do F1 video. Like let's do F1. Like apart from football, do you want to introduce other sport? Then we can bring Sava in. They got F1 track underneath the ground. Because that's the only way. That's the only way Tottenham are going to be relevant next season. There's no European football, so you might as well do like an F1 segment.
Beyonce reviews and that. Get some Beyonce reviews.
Yeah, what's happening down at
Drake will be good to be fair.
Tottenham Hotspur, the gift that keeps on giving. That is what it is, mate.
Yeah.
That is what it is. Listen, we're going to get out of here. We're going to go and catch the last few minutes of what is a very interesting Europa League final that has gone into extra time at 1-1. So make sure you head over and watch that. Make sure you smash a like and a subscribe on this. And we'll see you very, very soon. Ash, Liam, and Joe, I'm not going to cry. We're not going to get the Kleenex out. We'll see you very soon, man. And take it easy.
Cheers, Dan.
Until then.
Cheers, Dan. Been
Up the arse,
Cheers, lads. It's been a pleasure, boys.
All the best, guys.
Lads.
All the best, fellas. Okay.